the dog is no longer whimpering, and I have placed a closing slash on that Javadoc comment, so we don't get unhappiness. Now let's go ahead and take care of addition. So now you have a fairly fully featured BigFraction class. There are some things that are left out. However, there is a collection of programming exercises on the specs page, which you'll fill in. And now I'm going to say little details like POW and negate that you're going to actually write and add to this class. But there's another important step we need to take, and that's to make this class usable to someone else. And we want them to be able to use it without having to look at our code. So we're going to use a utility called Javadoc. Javadoc allows us to create documentation for our code. We run Javadoc, and it creates an HTML page. And the HTML page will look a great deal like the ones you see for the standard library. So this is a very standard practice. If you're working in a team, a lot of times you will be called upon to produce a class that does certain things. You're going to document that class, and that way your colleagues can open your code or your documentation pages and use your .class file, possibly archiving it in a jar file here. And they'll be able to write code based on what we did.
Here, subtract.
So what we're going to learn how to do is we're going to learn how to use Javadoc. Javadoc is a hybrid of two things. One, it incorporates HTML elements. And two,
we need to change the English over here.
It uses a special type of comment that Javadoc picks up on and uses to format the Javadoc page.
Now let's scroll on down.
So we're going to get to work on Javadocing our class, and I think a good place to start. One thing you don't Javadoc is anything that is private. Right? Okay. Private things are private, and you don't have to show them. To begin a Javadoc comment, you produce a slash and 2 stars, and to end it, put a star like this. Now, my Vim editor does a nice thing for me, and that it automatically puts the stars in the row. And if you're using Atom or VS Code or some other nice editor, it will do a similar sort of thing. Don't put a space around multiplication to reflect. So let's go ahead and work on the order of operations. So the first thing I'm going to do is just describe what it does.
And then finally we're going to do this division down here.
Back in my window here. Come on.
All right. Now I'm going to come down here and say,
okay, there we go. My cursor was being stubborn. Square. Okay, dot. So above each method, we're going to insert the Javadoc. This constructor stores a. And you can use HTML tags in here.
I don't have this keyboard's
a BigFraction in reduced
disabled, and it's a continuing source of annoyance.
With any negative factor
on the keyboard. Okay, and we're down to our main. We won't document our main, but it's going to have lots of cute test code in it,
the numerator.
And now let's see what the whole thing looks like. These little private, these comments here don't appear.
So there's a description. It says succinctly that our BigFraction is stored in reduced form with any negative factor upstairs. All right, now some special markup. And it will overwrite the old one. When you type @param, that is going to indicate. Now let's go to my browser. A parameter, and we're going to type @param, and then the parameter. What is the parameter in the constructor? Num. Open. Okay. And what is num? This is the numerator.
There's a browser window down here. Maybe it is open to. Yeah. Let's see. this
first.
BigFraction.
Don't need it now. I guess I killed my browser there.
And then I'm going to say denom.
Bring it across. Well, let me go ahead and denominator. Make this happen. On this side, you're not going to see what I'm doing.
So I'm describing the
parameters,
not the private
variables.
That tab.
Now, the other thing we should do is
warn
the user. Hey, that looks pretty
that
good.
This can throw an exception. So I'm going to say
at
throws.
You can see it.
Then I say what type of exception it throws.
You can see here we have a fully Java docked application programming interface. Okay, it's got tells you what all the static constants do. Tells you stuff about all the methods that we've created,
denominator,
and somebody else who's going to program would simply use this.
Okay, so there you go.
In
That's
lieu
a
of
pretty good description of what our
in lieu of looking through all my code. So they don't have to look through all my code. They can just look at the method details, and it tells them exactly what to do.
But it's thorough.
And now that's Java.
I think it's a good idea.
Now completed the documentation of our application.
So I'm going to go ahead.
That's going to be a part of this project. You're going to Java doc.
And I'm going to type
your project. You're going to Java doc code.
I'm going to make,
and I'll announce that in the class how that's going to work. You will get a numerical class like Java doc, so you can imitate what's going on here.
Option, a D flag.
So I think I'm done here now, and I will see you later.
BigFraction.
Java. Okay, it's telling me, incidentally, that I should not put code around my illegal argument exception. So I'm going to go in here and get rid of that. It probably will put that in automatically for me. So let me get rid of that. All right. And I'm going to do that again. And it will just overwrite the old. Okay, now, suppose you want to see this. What have we produced? Well, what you need to do is open a directory, or choose File Open, go to wherever this is. All right, I have to go to wherever it is. Come on, Morrison. Okay, so I am drilling down into my directory structure here. Sorry for its hairy appearance. This is under T3, 426, BigFraction. Here's doc. And then click on the index.html. Okay, my browser's grinding away. It's opening it. Now, lots of things don't have anything in them, but let's go to look at the constructors. Look, if I click on this link, it says this constructor stores a BigFraction in reduced form with any negative factor appearing in the denominator or in the numerator. Okay, there's the parameters. And it throws an illegal argument exception if a 0 denominator is passed in. So you can see how @param causes this section to be generated. @throws causes this section to be generated. And there's also an @return, but the constructor has no return value. So we don't have to do anything for that. While we're in here, let's go ahead and Java doc the static items. So I'm going to go ahead and go back in. Okay, and I'm just going to put some Java doc here. All right, this is the
fraction constant 1 divided by 1. All right. And now I'm just going to. Now, one thing about documentation, it seems like we're doing a lot of repetitive stuff, but you want people to be able to look in one place and find information about something. You don't want to do an excessive amount of referring to other things. Okay, so now I'm going to say this is the big fraction constant, 0 over 1. And this is the big fraction constant, a half, which we created. Okay, so now, and we don't have to Java doc the static block. That's not at all needed. Okay. Yes. So we've gone ahead and done that. Okay. So now let's go ahead and Java doc the second constructor. So I'm going to yank this because I think I can use quite a bit of it. Paste it down here. All right. Okay, yes. All right. Yes. So it looks like okay, we have num and denom. They're strings this time, but I don't know that we really need to change anything. So I'm going to leave that undisturbed. Okay. Now we have a nice static method here. All right. The static factory method produces num over denom as a big fraction. Okay. So I'm going to say at param num. All right. And denom. And that should be numerator. Okay. The denominator. And we have a return value. So we say at return. All right. And there you go. So we have a static factory method. Now, one thing that can happen is if some fool passes in a 0, this will pass through to the constructor, and the constructor will throw an exception, and that will appear in that unhappy user stack trace, and that's exactly where it belongs. Okay, so we have now documented value of. We have a nice static factory method there, toString. All right. Okay. There's no parameters. There's only a return value. And what does the return value do? That'll do. Okay, so now I've Java docked my toString method. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to JavaDoc our equals method. So we'll come down to that. Let me say this checks for numerical equivalence of big fractions. Okay, the parameter at param is an object. The object we are comparing this big fraction to. And at return, false or true if O is a big fraction and is equal to this big fraction. Not recorder. And I think I'm going to stop here because I have a whimpering dog, and I will resume shortly.